The Trump administration has been setting new records with its imposition of sanctions on foreign entities, though it is continuing a trend we saw under Barack Obama. What is different is the imposition of economic tariffs. This administration overtly views the dollar as a weapon and the globalized economy as a battleground. The numbers had been climbing prior to Donald Trump's presidency, but according to the U.S. Treasury, sanctions were imposed on close to 1,000 entities and individuals in 2017, a new record. And this year, analysts predict the administration will surpass that number, potentially adding more than 1,400 entities to the list of those sanctioned.
He's a president who came into office without much sort of government experience, if any, with very limited in the way of sort of relationships with people on the Hill or the broader executive branch. And what sanctions lets him do is execute foreign policy effectively on his own.
It is unclear sometimes whether the U.S. has a grand strategy when it imposes sanctions. Is Washington trying to change the behavior of those it deems as working against U.S. national interests, or simply punishing them without any opportunity for redemption? And does anyone really believe that Russia will forsake Crimea, for example, as a result of sanctions? What exactly is the U.S. trying to achieve? In the rush to project U.S. power, such questions sometimes remain unanswered. At least with the Trump administration's imposition of economic tariffs, there would seem to be a goal. President Trump says other countries are exploiting the U.S. economically, and that needs to end.
And that is why we are going to stick together and win for our farmers and our factory workers, our steel workers, here we are, all across this nation.
The imposition of tariffs began in January with restrictions imposed on solar panels and washing machines. The Trump administration said it hopes to boost domestic manufacturing. Since then, China has borne the brunt. Tariffs have been imposed on $34 billion worth of Chinese imports. They went into effect July the 6th. And tariffs on an additional $16 billion of goods will go into effect on August 23rd. In addition, 25% tariffs on steel and 10% on aluminium imports have shocked allies such as Canada, Mexico, Japan, and the EU. Turkey's tariffs have meanwhile been doubled to 50% on steel and 20% on aluminium. Yet here, too, there is confusion. In imposing the steel and aluminium tariffs, Donald Trump invoked national security. Yet his administration is using those tariffs as bargaining chips in trade negotiations. How does that square with keeping America safe? There has long been international grumbling at the centrality of the U.S. dollar and financial system to the global economy. And it is likely that the frequent deployment of both as weapons, often with little recourse for those affected, will heighten those complaints in the future. Shihab, Rattansi, Al Jazeera, Washington.